Hey guys, if you're new here and you like what I'm putting out, don't forget to hit that big red subscribe button and turn on all notifications so you never miss an upload. I love Power Rangers, and I love video games, and I love video games based on Power Rangers.
Help up!
Well, most of them. But did you know there's a ton of Power Ranger games we kinda missed out on because they were Japan only? That's right, in this video, we're gonna go over these Super Sentai games that were Japan only and never brought over to the West, because I feel like some of these games they could have brought over to the West and localized them into Power Ranger related games, but unfortunately we never got that. So in this video, here's 5 never before seen Power Ranger games. Number 5, Zhu Ranger on the Famicom. Now this game you've probably seen if you watch the Angry Video Game Nerd episode based on Power Rangers.
And listen here, it has the Zhu Ranger theme song. Zhu Ranger, densetsu no senshi tachi yo.
But this game is kind of cute because it's a little side-scrolling action-adventure game where you play as one of the Zhu Ranger and you just gotta get to the end of the stage. And it's in that vein of Mega Man and Mario where you just gotta duck and jump and blast your way to the end of the stage. And it's really awesome. And it kind of sucks that this was never brought over to the West because when Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was airing, it was the era of the Super Nintendo, and I'm sure that the West didn't want to market an old school Nintendo game to its kid audience. They wanted everything to be 16-bit or nothing. So that kind of sucks that we never got this game over here in the West, because I've seen gameplay footage of it and I think it looks really neat. So hey, I'd like to play it, but you can find this game if you want to check out the ROMs. I believe it's been translated into English, so if you want to check it out, you can probably scrounge around on the internet and find this game to download and try out for yourself. Number 4, Car Ranger on the Super Famicom. So like the previous one on this list, and probably like most of these games on this list, I never understood why this was never brought over to the West, because I've seen gameplay of this Car Ranger game on YouTube, and what it is basically a Mega Man X clone or a platformer clone where you just move from stage to stage beating up bad guys. Sure, the bad guys or the grunts you beat up are from the Sentai, but they could work around that in the instruction booklet or something and just say they're Divatox's mooks. But this game is a lot of fun. It doesn't have a lot of story. You just pick a ranger, jump in there and start punching stuff. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely recommend checking it out or seeing some gameplay. You're probably seeing it right now on the screen, but I never got why this was never brought over, because Turbo was adapted into Power Rangers, but this game never came out, and it doesn't make any sense because the Nintendo 64 only came out in 96, and there were other Super Nintendo games that kind of came out when the 64 was out, but they never thought about bringing this game over to the West. I mean, it would have been an awesome game, even if they slapped the Turbo logo on it. I would have had a blast playing this game as a kid. I would have had a lot of fun, but oh well, another Power Rangers game that was never brought over to the West. Number 3, Hurricane on the PS1. Now, I love the Ninja Storm game we got on the GBA because it's a 2D side-scroller beat-em-up, and the Hurricane game on the PS1 is a side-scroller, a 3D side-scroller, beat-em-up with a bit of Zord action. And it's a product of its time with how it looks, the 3D models and stuff like that, and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun with its 3D environment and how you move and with the Zord battles and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, but I prefer the Game Boy Advance one we got over here in the West. But they could have adapted this game if they wanted to. I mean, just got to change a few localization things, do a couple of voiceover work here and there, but that would have been a lot of money to pay the actors to do voice work for the video game and stuff like that. They could have used sound clips from the TV show here and there, but oh well, it is what it is. Now, before I talk about number 2, imagine you're 12 years old, your auntie has gone to Bali, and she just got back a few weeks later. You're told that you got a Power Rangers game on PS1. You receive the game. You look at the box art and you can't understand what the text says. You pop in the game into your PS1 and you hear this playing once you boot up the game. That's right, this was probably my very first exposure to Super Sentai before I even knew what Super Sentai was, because I got this game from Bali and I just thought it was a Japanese Power Rangers game that was some weird bootleg, because you know the story where people say Super Sentai is a Japanese ripoff of Power Rangers because they don't know the history? That was my experience with this game, and this game, it was a lot of fun. It's a lot like the previous game I mentioned, where it's a 3D side-scroller beat-em-up, where you just gotta take on enemies, you play as the Red Gal Ranger, and you fight your way to bosses and stuff like that. It was weird to play as a kid, because I had no idea what I was doing, but it was a hell of a lot of fun. And much like the previous one I listed in this video, we did get a Wild Force game on the Game Boy Advance that was another side-scroller beat-em-up. But hey, I'm always going to be nostalgic about this Gal Ranger game because it was my first exposure to Super Sentai before even knowing anything about Super Sentai. I mean, I didn't even know what the game was called. I just called it Japanese Power Rangers or whatever I called it as a kid because I had no idea what they were saying in the game or what was going on. Now let's talk about number 1 on this list, and number 1, the most rarest, never before seen Power Rangers game that was never brought over to the West or never translated into English, is a bunch of games that were on the Sega Pico that were never brought over to the West. So, if you don't know, there was this education entertainment system called the Sega Pico. I don't know what it is. I need to do some more research on it. I think it was like one of those edutainment games that was made for kids that Sega put out, but Japan loved it. I don't know how much love it got in the West, but Japan loved it, and it got several Super Sentai games based on it when it was released in Japan. It got one based on Mega Ranger, Deca Ranger, Hurricaneer, Aba Ranger. A lot of Super Sentai series were put on this weird, obscure platform that no one's heard about it. And I know a lot of these games were educational and they were probably like change colors or color in something or tap the buttons. I don't know what they did, but these games were never brought over to the West and they're very, very obscure. And I don't know if they're hard to find or not, who knows, but I had no idea these games existed until I was doing research for this video. So, number 1, it's kind of cheating that this system is very obscure and we're probably never going to get these games in the West, but hey, it's a fun little curveball to throw at the end of this video for you. Anyway guys, those are 5 Power Ranger games that were never brought over to the West due to them being Super Sentai only games. But what did you think of this list? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear thoughts and love to hear opinions. With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up now. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to turn on all notifications. Special thanks to the members such as Swagger4 over here. If you want to get your name shout out in a video like Swagger4 over here, become a Zord tier member or higher where you'll get special perks on the channel. With that said, I'm going to wrap this video up now. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day or night. Bye!